There's a lot of things I really like about my truck, but there's one thing in particular that I just cannot stand. So today we're going to address that issue. That would be with our fast fuel filters being visible outside of the truck. And while we're at it, I'm going to show you two different ways that we can improve on the original design. Go ahead and get started. I'm going to back the truck onto some ramps and then we'll pull things apart and get this fast filter relocated so that way we can't see it anymore. So to get started, there's a couple things that we're going to need, which I'm going to go over with you real quick. We're going to need a little WD-40 to lubricate our lines when we go to put the new rubber hose on. You're going to need a razor blade to get the old hose off. 1/2-inch long handle ratchet, putting the bed bolts back in. Swivel, that's an 18mm socket for your bed bolts. Screwdriver for our hose clamps, 14mm socket, 14mm ratchet, 14mm wrench. We will be using our 1/2-inch impact to break the bolts free. This tool here is not needed or recommended. We're going to use that to slice our old zip ties because nobody in the 21st century uses cutters anymore for getting those off, so that should be fun. That is our 1/2-inch inside diameter. This is a Eaton fuel hose, and if you ask me, it's actually a little bit of an improvement over the original Parker push lock fuel hose that's supplied with your fass kit, and when we get into that I'll show you why. Got a hose clamp kit, picked that up from Tractor Supply Co. I think it was only like 10 bucks, and this is Baylor's all-purpose belt, and we're going to use that to create new dampeners, and that will also be a little bit of an improvement, and I'll show you why when we get there. Alright guys, I'm going to take you underneath to have a look so that way you can see what we're working with and why we're even having to do this. So here, there is our fast filters, and the problem that these original classic body Duramaxes have is, if you take a look up there, the pump, not sure if you can see the motor or not, but right above it is the filler neck, which you can see the hose clamp there, and that's why you can't take this thing and go any further up than where it's already at. So right now we probably have about 3.5–4 inches protruding below the bed rail. So what we're going to do is that right now this thing is mounted to this bed bolt right there, and we're going to take it and move it back to that one, basically directly above the leaf spring. It's kind of in that channel right there. So to get started, I'm going to try to take a risky maneuver here and cut these lines and slip the new lines on. The reason I'm doing that is because every time I go looking for a fuel line disconnect tool, I have a hard time finding it. So we'll have to see how that goes. So I'll slice those to get them off the fittings. And then back here, we have one line, or actually two lines right there. So we gotta get the hoses off of those and then try to slide those press fit lines on from Eaton. And another thing I'm gonna point out, not sure how well you can see it. See how dry rotted that line is? The Eaton lines have like a fiber wrap around them, so that should help with the longevity over time. But we'll see how it goes.
And playing pretend, hiding in corners, breathing in again. I reach for you, but you're so far away. Give me a reason why you never stay. You never stay. Here in the ashes, I see your face. Just for a moment.
I almost created myself a little situation. Kind of forgot that since the truck is up on an angle like that, all the fuel is trying to run forward, and since it's a full tank, it's still draining fuel into that bucket. So I put something in it to slow it down. We're just going to have to keep filling it as we go. So just keep in mind, if you got your truck up on ramps like I did with a full tank of fuel, it's going to keep draining out of that return line. So we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of these lines disconnected and unbolt it and get it bolted onto the back.
Ecstasy.
just take a minute to say that it did not go at all how I planned it, okay? I just made a complete and total mess. And I myself am covered in diesel fuel. So probably not the cleanest way to do this, but you know what? For the purpose of doing it, it's gonna work. So the next step, and this is what I was talking about with kind of making an improvement on this. See the rubber that's in there? I mean, it's all coming out and it just looks like it's completely deteriorated. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate these two plates and take the 4 bolts out. Those are 14 millimeters. And then we're going to cut a new piece of rubber using this baler's belt and fit it in right there. Now the nice thing about the baler's belt is it's actually got like a fiber reinforcement in the middle, whereas the original fass rubber never had that. So we'll make one for there, and we might do one for that piece there as well. So that's what we're going to do now. Once we get that done, we should be able to go ahead and put this thing back up in there on that second bolt. Alrighty guys, let me show you where we're at here. So this is just a piece. I drilled out some holes so that way we could match this piece. I used a stepper bit and then a 3/4 inch drill bit so that way we could get it nice and wide. And then what I plan on doing is taking this little guy right here and we're just going to connect those 2 holes like that. Now for this piece, since we're doctoring up this one too, what I did is I took a piece of rubber from our baler's belt and cut it off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill here, 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 and here with the clamp on it, and then if I need to wallow it out to get the bolts through it easier, I'll do that once I get the initial holes drilled. Alright, so now we got our 2 new pieces punched out. We got the fiber reinforcement in there, which should help them hold up a lot longer. That right there is a piece of the deteriorated one that goes back behind the piece that's got 4 prongs. So we're going to start getting her back together now.
But it came to an end. All we could be hanging on the thread. I call out to you, but I don't make a sound. Whispers and comfort that you've never found. You've never found. Here in the ashes, I see your face. Just for a moment. Fades away. Baby, you are my ecstasy. Yeah, you're the sweetest high. But it's just when you're next to me, it's over and goodbye.
I wanted to take a second to show you the difference in these fuel lines. So this is your old line, and that is a Parker line. That's what's supplied with the fass kit. And this is an Eaton line. I got this from the local hydraulic supply store. I believe it is Advanced Fluid Connectors of Glen is where I got this, but this is an Eaton line, and you can see a major difference in which this one has got like a fiber wrapping on it. Now I was informed while I was there that if you ever get black line, the only difference between the black and the blue is that it's rated for higher heat. But any push lock line will work for this. So if you need to replace them, if you ask me, I think that that's a much nicer line to get. A little bit of an upgrade over what they give you with the kit. So we're going to start going back together with this thing now.
Give me a reason why you never stay. You never stay. Here in the ashes, I see your face. Just for a moment, the feeling fades away. Baby, you are my ecstasy, and you're the sweetest high. But it's just when you're next to me, it's summer and goodbye. Baby, you are my ecstasy. Yeah, you're the sweetest high. Summer and goodbye. Baby, you are my ecstasy. The sweetest high. Baby, you are my ecstasy. Baby, you are my weekend in paradise, but it came to an end. All we could be, hanging on a thread. I call out to you, but I don't make a sound. Whispers uncovered that you've never found. You've never found. Here in the ashes, I see your face. Just for a moment, the feeling fades away. Baby, you are my ecstasy, and you're the sweetest high. But it's just when you're next to me, it's
All right, guys, had a little technical difficulty. The phone battery died, so I ended up having to finish her up while it charged. You didn't miss much though. I mean, literally all I did was hook up all of the blue lines. Learned something very interesting. So apparently if you have a crew cab long bed, you're going to need more than 10 foot of that line to complete this job. In fact, 12 foot should give you a little bit more insurance. I ended up having to reuse one for the fuel filler neck return up there, but the supply and the main supply and the main return line are all the newer line. Put some hose clamps on there for insurance, and all that's left at this point is to go ahead and fire her up. If you were curious as to the orientation of these lines, so that upper line, that one goes above the frame rail, and it goes in to the silver line right there without the blue anodizing. So if you have a sump pump, which I do not have yet, the blue anodizing would be where your sump would be on the bottom of the tank, and that line runs back here, and that's the one that's on the 90-degree elbow. So the bottom line under here, that one there, where's she at? Right there. That lower line, that is going to go to your fuel filler neck. So all that's left now, I'm going to crawl out of here. We're going to prime the system. Now with a fass, the nice thing about these is you really, oh by the way, look how nice and clean that looks. I mean, that's basically eye level. And you could just barely see the water separator star screw underneath. So if you're standing up like this, you'll never see it. But I'm going to go ahead and turn the key and prime the system. And you should hear an audible difference in the pump when it's primed. So I am going to try to capture that for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, we're going to go ahead and try to start it. Alright, there it is. So, pull it off here. Go for a test drive just to make sure everything's okay. But so far, no leaks. Everything's looking pretty good. I just gotta clean up my stinking mess. It is noticeably quieter inside of the truck now that I got the new rubber in there. I think that had the most to do with it, but it also could be the mounting location. So if your fass seems really loud, chances are there's probably a good chance that the rubber is completely gone out of it. So, just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm pretty happy with the fact that I can no longer see those vomit yellow filters. If you got something out of this, or you've been thinking about doing the same thing, drop a comment down below. I'm just curious to see what your all's feedback is. And the next video, I'm going to take my traction bars off, which are actually stainless steel. They're not powder coated. And one of them is still unpolished, so I'm going to show you guys how to polish stainless steel. And we'll talk about some of the reasons I went with custom traction bars as opposed to having one of the big names out there make me a set. So, till then, I'll catch you guys on the next upload.